This is TWiT.
Cory, Red Team Blues. What's this about?
Yeah, so this is my next novel. It's the first book in a trilogy. It's about a guy called Marty Hench, who's a 67-year-old hard-charging forensic accountant who's been in Silicon Valley for 40 years unwinding tech scams. And it's his last one last job. He gets pulled in by a friend who's a legendary cryptographer who unwisely built a backdoor for his cryptocurrency, which has now escaped into the wild. Marty has to recover the keys, which turns out to be the easy part. Then he ends up caught between a three-way war between narcos, money launderers, and rogue three-letter agencies. And what it really is it's like an anti-finance novel. It's a novel about the kind of bitter disappointment of an internet that once held the promise of technical liberation and has become a place of technical control and extraction. And it was a fun book to write. I wrote it in 6 weeks flat. The last book I did like this, it was Little Brother. I gave it to my wife. I rolled over at 2 a.m. the next night. She was sitting up in bed and I was like, "What are you doing?" And she said, "Well, I just had to find out how it ended." You know, my publisher 3 days later bought this book and 2 sequels. They're going to run in reverse chronological order. So this is his last mission. We go all the way back to his first in the 1980s through the next 2 books. And they're swept all of the trades. It's got starred reviews in all the trade magazines. But the one thing is that, as with all my books, Amazon Audible will not sell the audiobook because there's no DRM on it. And so I am kickstarting a DRM-free edition. I go into the studio tomorrow with Will Wheaton here in LA, and we are going to record a really fantastic audiobook, as has been every one of the audiobooks Will's recorded with me. And the Kickstarter pre-sells the audiobook, the hardcover, the ebook, DRM free, obviously. And I think in addition to being a way to, fund this independent production and treat Amazon as damage and route around it, it's also a way to show other people that you don't have to submit to the bullying tactics and lock-in of a monopolist just to reach your audience.
I love the URL for this is kickstarter.com/project/Doctorow/Red Team Blues, another audiobook that Amazon won't sell.
Yeah. Although the short URL is just Red Team Blues. That'll just forward you there. redteamblues.com. We'll just forward you there. But yeah, I mean, Amazon won't sell my audiobooks. So
no, really cool. But let's be fair. Is it that Amazon won't sell it, or that you won't allow them to sell it?
Well, I went to Amazon and said, "You can sell my audiobooks, just don't put DRM on them," as you promised you wouldn't when you bought Audible. Because when they bought Audible, they said they were getting rid of the DRM.
Audible's always had DRM. It's not hard to strip it off, but they've always had DRM. And I always just assumed it was the publishers that insisted on it. That there are audiobook stores that don't have DRM on it.
That's right. Well, all of them except for Audible and Apple Books, which is a front end for Audible, allow you to choose whether there's DRM. The thing about this DRM, and this kind of resolves the mystery, under the Digital Millennium Copyright Act, Section 1201, it is more illegal for you to remove DRM from an audiobook that I made with my blessing than it is for you to pirate that audiobook. Right? If I give you the tool to remove DRM from my audiobook that I made and paid for, I commit a felony punishable by a 5-year prison sentence and a $500,000 fine for a first offense. The maximum penalty, civil and criminal, for making an infringing copy of that book is only $400,000. Wow. And so, it is obvious when you put it that way why Amazon would want to make sure that they have DRM in all the books, because it means that if someone offers me more money for my audiobooks to take my books off Audible and sell them somewhere else, I have to bet that my audience is willing to throw away all the audiobooks they've ever bought to follow me to a rival platform, because I can't authorize them to remove the DRM, and Amazon's not going to send me a list of all my customers so I can send them free download codes for another platform. So I'm just stuck, right? So I've always had this position that I'm just not going to be bait in a sticky trap. And here we are, more than a decade after Amazon purchased Audible. It's now 90% of the audiobook market. And they are engaged in rampant wage theft. The Audiblegate scandal accounted for at least $100 million in wage theft from independent audiobook creators, and still not giving creators the choice about whether they want to lock their listeners to Amazon's platform, not just for the term of copyright, which is 90 years on these commercial works, but forever.
DRM, I should just explain, is copy protection, digital rights management, for people who don't want to fire up Wikipedia and look it up.
Yeah. It's an encryption scheme. It doesn't work very well because the way that it works is
easy to strip off. Frankly.
Yeah, I scramble the book and then I give you the book with a player that has the key to unscramble it. And then I bet that you're never going to figure out where in that player I hid the key. Yeah. The technical term for this in security research is wishful thinking. So, it's not like a thing that stops people from pirating audiobooks. You don't need to strip DRM off to pirate audiobooks. You just type, book name space MP3 free download pirate into your favorite search engine. You can just get it, right? The only thing this does is prevent actual proprietors, creators, and publishers from creating legitimate legal businesses that present alternatives to Amazon and would discipline Amazon in its dealings with creators and with audiences, because Amazon's now sticking ads in the audiobooks you pay for, which again is just, and if they can control what player you listen to, they can stop you from skipping ads.
You just explained, by the way, why the record industry is going after ISPs now. And even worse, went after Quad 9, a DNS resolver. They can't stop the piracy, so what they want to do is stop you from finding the pirate sites. They actually won their case. I was shocked. They won their case against Quad 9.
Yeah. It's, I think that the lesson of the streaming services has been that if you give people a reasonable offer at a reasonable price, they'll choose it. I think the other lesson in the streaming services is that no one ever bought a book or a record because they wanted an entertainment executive to make more money. And so, if we show people that there is an equitable arrangement, people will opt into it. And the people who won't, we're never going to opt into it. It's I don't compete with piracy. I compete with all the things you could do that aren't listening to an audiobook, playing games, going for a walk in the park, Zooming, looking at websites with names that we can't mention because it's a family-friendly show. All of those things are my competitors. And the piracy is like on the list of things that cause people not to listen to my books. Piracy is way, way down there in terms of what I compete with.
Hey folks, I'm Ant Pruitt and I have a question for you. How do you think your hardworking team, with a Club TWiT corporate subscription plan, of course, show your appreciation and reward your tech team with a subscription to Club TWiT? Keep everyone informed and entertained with podcasts covering the latest in tech. With the Club TWiT subscription, they get access to all of our podcasts ad-free. And they also get access to our members-only Discord, access to exclusive outtakes and behind the scenes footage and special content like the fireside chats that I enjoy hosting. Plus, they also get shows like Hands on Mac, Hands on Windows, and the Untitled Linux Show. So go to twit.tv/clubtwit and look for corporate plans for complete details.